Hey everybody, and welcome to You'll Probably Agree. We are on episode 5 of the Bad Batch. As always, with me is Star Wars nerd and film collector and slash, I guess we could say not quite like a film nerd, but someone who like loves particular categories like horror films and stuff like that, obscure stuff.
I love the art form. Thanks for having me on the show again, Mike. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
anytime.
Yeah. Film in general is just like when it comes to escapism, you just want to get away for an hour or two or five if you're watching, Jack Snyder's new movie. Film is amazing for escapism. I love it.
Yeah. I don't know about
And
Jack
Star
Snyder. I know about
Wars,
Zack Snyder.
I'm making a joke. I know what his name is.
Yeah.
And he doesn't make 5 hour long films either yet. Give him a couple years, he'll get there.
I thought he already
Um,
did. Didn't he make the Snyder cut? That was like 4 hours.
I mean, it's not five.
That's true. But, well, there's plenty of movies that are very long. I think like 1917, I believe it's called. It was a Bertolucci film. That movie was about like, I think, like 8 hours or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's the rumored Dune cut that's well, like extremely long, more longer than 4 hours.
Like Doom with
I'd love
The
to see that.
Rock?
No, Lynch, David Lynch's
Oh,
Dune.
Dune.
Dune. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. David Lynch thinks there's like no official cut of that movie because he hates it with a passion because, well, not the movie, but like, the studio ruining the movie and stuff like that.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, just put it on record. That's like one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time. I love that film. It is so much fun.
I gotta get you in touch
I
with,
think we mentioned it before, but yeah, I love that one.
I gotta get you in touch with Shijiwa Ekanayake. Let's try to say that name 10 times fast. Because he is a defender of that film as well. And I'm really interested to see what everyone's take on the new film is going to be.
We'll
Did
see
yeah? Did you
if
get
we ever
my
get to see it. Yeah.
yeah? Did you get my invite? Hello?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Go ahead and join. There we go. Nice. All right, so let's see what game we can play here. What do you feel like? Some uh, spammy
I'm always
space
down
battles?
for co-op or space. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, let's see what's going
Like the
on. Can
rest of
I?
it, like put this on record too. Like the rest of this game with the cheating is like almost unbearable. It's
Ugh.
so goddamn frustrating.
Yes.
But that's a
Well,
whole other story. Anyway, yeah, episode 5,
yeah, it's like the
fun stuff.
dying, like this game is like the dying clone army. And speaking
Yeah.
of things that are dying, so is Battlefront 2. But yeah, episode 5. What did you think? Cuz I saw it and I was like, okay, I get it. There's going to be a payoff, but it's like been here, done that again. This is getting really lazy.
It's another slow motion episode. Just trying to do some more character building and show you that Omega can be resourceful. She does end up helping him out of a jam. But yeah, it is repetitive. But it's TV. It's what you're gonna get. They
Yeah.
have to remind you of these characters and these worlds and these people and do a little bit of character building before they just like jump into the insanity that we pretty much know is coming by the end of the series.
Yeah.
Like we know like a bunch of stuff is coming down the road. We don't know exactly what it is, but we know they're building up to something, and this is just one of those, stepping stone ones. It was odd that they made the Rancor monster a lovable character, seeing that, well, I mean, spoilers, there's a Rancor monster, and it's a lovable character, it's a baby.
Hmm.
But it's odd to me that they made that a lovable, likable character, and then, we get to see Luke murder it in episode 6. So I was like, what are they really doing with this show? They're just like jumping all over the place, making us love weird things, and whatever. Rancors are cool, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't feel like there was a lot of character building in this episode because, like, who did they build? What did they do? Show that Omega? We already know Omega's.
Tiny little bit with Omega, and they're still pointing towards Wrecker's chip that something's going on with
Oh
that thing,
yeah,
and
but that was like half
they're
a
like being
second.
secretive about that. Yeah, exactly. It's like they're so subtle about all of these things, but
Yeah, Yeah.
I have faith in this crew, and their subtleties are going to mean big things down the road. We just have to
Yeah.
hold out and wait, really. There's 16 episodes, so.
Yeah. It's kind of like your point you made last week. Like, I think you were asking, like, so was this episode like that episode of The Mandalorian where he's stuck in the cave? And that's kind of how I felt about this episode. It's like, okay, they're infiltrating another base. They rescue someone, everyone's happy.
Yeah.
And, there's like a little bit of character stuff in between. I like how Wrecker actually did something that was helpful. And he wasn't like Wolverine from the
Yeah.
90s X-Men cartoon
Oh,
where
that
he
was
just
fun.
talk a
He just
bunch
like,
of shit and then get his ass kicked.
yeah. He like wrestles a Rancor monster. What?
Yeah. Like, that was great. I like that.
That was fun.
And
I was laughing like throughout the episode, which was great. I really enjoyed it.
Right. And like The
In that respect.
Mandalorian, even with like the filler episodes, I did like what they did with the Rancor, where it kind of made me reevaluate them. Like, oh, do they just take these big things, put them in cages, and then sort of like Michael Vick them, and just like get them like angry and kill you? It's like, wow. Now I feel it's just like how I felt bad for the Sand People. I rethought about them when like the Mandalorian showed them as these guys were probably
kinda
indigenous to the land of Tatooine until they were run out. As if,
And with this episode, like sorry to talk over you, like they really made you think back to that 2-second scene at the end of Jedi when Luke does kill the Rancor, and then the Rancor keeper's like crying.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, who cares? It's a giant fucking monster. You're like, oh no, like this thing was actually like somebody's pet, and it was cool, and it was sentient, obviously, because it was like, it nodded to them when it left. So it's like, they're like, bye, Moochie, and it was like, okay, see you guys later. So it's like, yeah, you feel for these things, like, oh, like, and just like you said with the Sand People, it's like you're reevaluating your like our personal relationship with the Star Wars universe. It's like, oh yeah, maybe we had some things wrong.
Yeah. It's sort of, it's funny. It's like the thing they did with the Sand People was more interesting because that was really sort of a commentary on how America was really founded and all that. Whereas with the Rancor, it's just like, be nice to the thing. He's not really a monster. It was more like a fun, more kiddie kind of woke message. But I like that they added some dimensionality to it. But otherwise, like, I get it. It's a cartoon show. We're gonna get episodes like this. But I don't think that still excuses like every episode from just kind of using very lazy, sort of news before writing conventions, which, I mean, let's be honest, the Clone Wars and Rebels, especially Rebels, were guilty of that.
Yeah.
Like half of like every Rebel season was infiltrating an Imperial base. Like, how the hell do Imperials not notice someone's infiltrating them at this point?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't they be like, oh, there's another one. There they are again.
What about that? And Ezra's like so short. Like, how are they like getting away with that every time? Like, he's a teenager.
It's like that little, like...
He's got a helmet on, but he's still a little kid, so...
You get like a fucking
but anyway, yeah.
droid to, like, point him out, or you could get, like, that little... What's that little, like, droid that Chewbacca growled at, and then it, like, went into, like, a little vent because it was scared?
Oh, yeah, the little, like, remote control car thing.
Yeah.
Little tiny one. Yeah.
Like, those things can spot him, and, like, a little alarm can go off. I don't know. I want to see, did any of your theories get enhanced by this episode? I know we had some cameos.
No. Yeah, none at all. Not yet. I mean, the cameos were nice. Kind of like reminds you what the world is and who's around and who you might see. Like they're foreshadowing to what's coming down the road. Obviously to the movies and whatnot, because it's Bib Fortuna. He's working for Jabba. Blah blah blah. Rancor monster, but it didn't really like build anything towards or give me any new like, oh, that's crazy. They're gonna do this. Like none of that in this episode. It's just like, okay, some random, like they're mercenaries now, They are. It's like it's turning into the Mandalorian, where they're just like gonna work for information or work for money, and it's like, okay, let's move on with okay, cool, 2 or 3 episodes like you just said, but let's move on with it and let's
move on with the
pan out some of these crazy ass theories that us Star Wars fans have had or having with this show.
I think in the long run this shit will pay off, but oh my god, will they stop with the kids? They are literally copying and pasting the Mandalorian at this point. Someone's like, I need you to do a job. Here's how
Yeah.
many credits I have. Okay, I'll do the job. We're mercenaries now. Also, we have to take care of this little kid who has this unique ability that we're going to find out about.
Mhm.
That's going to introduce us to more characters and then more of the world. They're doing the Mandalorian in animation,
Yeah,
which is
they have
so
to.
fucking lazy.
They have to like rescue a mudhorn or a sand. I forgot what that was. That sand dragon. Like those
Yep.
two episodes in the Mandalorian was the same episode. Like, don't keep doing that stuff, you guys.
Oh
you
god, yeah,
know.
the Mudhorn, and
You
then
know. It was
although I
fun,
did
but
like the Sand Dragon one because that one did I
they,
actually like both of them in their own ways because they did their own
yeah, so
thing.
did I. But they were exactly what we're talking about. Just repetitive.
Yeah.
Not really, really moving the story forward. You know, if you were to cut something, you would cut that if it was a movie.
Yeah. But the nicest thing is with The Mandalorian, even with like its filler episodes, they're unique because it's live action, and with live action, you can't just screw around as much as you can with animation and just be like, oh, this episode, they fight someone, whatever. Which there's a lot of that in the Filoni series. Like,
Yeah.
Filoni is a lot like George Lucas in a way, where he likes to put in a lot of, like, goofy shit before, like, actually getting into the real meat of the story when it's not necessary. Everyone's got their flaw. It's fine. Hey, I think I'm gonna get these. Oh, shit, I'm a dumbass. I'm gonna die. I died.
Oopsie.
Yeah. But outside of like, everyone has their flaws, but this is just one of those episodes where I'm just going, oh my god, what's the point of this? Like, why can't we just move on with more stuff? I want to know more about
Mhm.
Omega. I want to know more about a lot of stuff. And I'm not just saying jump right into it. I like the slow build. But if you're going to have a slow build and you're going to have spoilers, make it something interesting that always actually builds on the character. Make it something
I
where
mean,
I
to
get
their
to know a
credit,
little bit about Wrecker, like,
like,
personally. Like,
yeah.
let
And to
me...
their credit, like at least they're not slow building it the way that they did with the Clone Wars initially, and like
Uh,
making us wait a full like year and a half, 2 years for anything to happen.
yeah.
At least something is happening, and they are moving stuff forward a little bit. But
Yeah. And
yeah,
also
and
with the
that's just
Clone Wars
from.
case, they didn't really
And this is
have...
coming from two people that have like watched, what is it, hundreds of hours of these animated shows, and you're just like, hurry up with the story. If you're just walking into this show, not
Yeah.
really knowing much about Star Wars animation, it's fantastic. So
Yeah.
don't get us wrong if you're like listening to us who are like jaded and like want everything to move. Like this is a fantastic show. They are doing a great job. We're just like
Yeah.
nitpicking it, honestly.
I'm wondering how kids will walk into this, or adults, or anyone, if you just had this on. I think if they had this episode, they'd be like, whatever. But if they had like that one episode on where they shot like a family and like some guy tunes in,
Yeah.
he'd be like, what is this?
Yeah, if
But
I'm
like,
watching this with my kids at home, I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. You guys, like, I'm
yeah,
gonna watch this episode first, and
shield the
then,
kids' eyes. Yeah,
and then I'll let you know which ones you can watch, because yeah, there's some crazy stuff that happens in the
yeah.
show.
But this one just
Not
felt like
necessarily
cute
kid
kid
friendly.
stuff
This
made for the
in this,
kids.
yep, that's where I was going. Like, this is absolutely a kid friendly TV episode, and maybe that's where they were going. It's like, yeah, the last couple episodes, Fennec Shan murdered a bunch of people, and
Yeah,
you know. Crosshairs like murdered a bunch of people. It's like, let's just soften it up just a little bit for
yeah,
the kids and us, the jaded Star Wars fans that have seen, like I just said, all these series are like, come on already. But no,
yeah.
they're doing a great job, and it's still a lot of fun to see them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but like, even if you're not jaded, like, there's just nothing really of interest I could see in this show if I tuned in. Like, unless I was like 2 years old and I wanted to see something shiny on the screen.
Yeah. No, this episode standalone is boring as hell. I'll give you that. But
Yeah, just stand
they do
alone.
have to like
There's
break up the
nothing to it.
murder, I guess, with
Yeah.
some fun stuff.
So,
Got to break up the Star Wars murder. Oh, boss, Kate, what's up?
yeah.
You don't like that guy.
Well, who shot you? Oh, are you boss?
Oh. No, I'm Anakin.
Oh shit, yeah. I got him
trying not to
leveled
get
up.
killed,
I'm
but-
all purple stars with him, or cards, whatever.
Oh yeah. Damn it, I died.
I'm fucking ass at this job. Someone's actually doing worse than me? How's that possible? Alright. Oh shit, I'm gonna blow this guy. I'm gonna blow him. So, anyways, getting back on points, I'm just thinking, if this is like a filler episode, cool. but have something with your fellow episodes that means something. With The Mandalorian, when you had the Mudhorn episode, it still like expanded the universe a bit. You got to know a little bit about the Jawas. We got to see how Din Djarin actually goes up against the real threats. You know, that kind of gave us the sort of fight we haven't seen in Star Wars before, where it's just like a guy getting. It reminded me a bit of like the ending fight in Lethal Weapon, when Gary Busey and Mel Gibson are just like shirtless in the mud together.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, like that's
Which one's Gary
my
Busey?
head.
I'm guessing Din is Gary Busey. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking that would be, you know, it still provided something we haven't seen before. You know, even if it was filler. And I'm not saying every episode doesn't have to be something we haven't seen before, but it may be something that would be interesting to see. Like, why? I really want to know about Rucker because he's just such a punchline of a character. I'm like, let's add some dimension to him. What's he doing scratching his head? All right, if it's not
It's
Rucker,
coming.
ignore the phone in the background.
Right.
If it's not Rucker, then what about Tech or Echo or any of those guys? Let's make it
Yeah, and we
about that.
haven't seen or heard anything from Crosshair in a while, so
Yeah,
I'm thinking we're
well,
gonna get back to
that's gonna be a huge
the
fucking
evilness
payoff.
of the Empire. Like next episode, we're coming back, and it's probably gonna start, you know, with that side of it, because we have been, you know, on that quote unquote good guy side for the last few episodes. Like we have not seen what the hell they're doing. But yeah, one theory I did have about Wrecker's head is like it only itches him once in a while, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder if the Empire is actually using it as a tracker, and anytime it itches, they're like getting closer.
That actually is a good theory. I was gonna
It's
say,
a solid theory. I thought that, yeah, I was like, oh shit, you know, because it's only like once in a while when they're stayed put for a little bit.
Yeah.
It was at the end of this mission. He's like, oh, I don't know, my head's getting, you know, I'm itching a little bit. He's like, oh shit, what if they're using it as a kind of a tracker? And
then a bunch of
like the Empire's like slowly closing in on him.
yeah.
Like, oh, fantastic.
Shows up a few TIE fighters,
Yep.
or whatever the early version of the TIE fighters are.
Whoops.
Yeah, I was thinking when he
Yeah,
was
so
scratching
there's,
his head,
it's just
like,
like the
what if
subtleties with this episode. There's no,
Yeah.
there was no big thing at all.
Yeah. It was more like spot the clues. And that was kind of like the bulk of the depth of the plot of the episode. I know you texted me earlier, you were wondering, like, if we should just do this bi-weekly. Because it's like, yeah, there's not really too much to talk about with this one, other than, you know, it being forgettable. But, you know, even with that
I mean,
said, I take
there's
some notes
so-
on these things, luckily.
Yeah, totally. And there's other Star Wars stuff that happened, you know.
Yeah.
You know, Filoni got made president. I think we barely mentioned it last time, but he got made like GM or whatever, basically, of Star Wars, and he's just like
wasn't
in
that
charge
just more
now.
of more of like a thing on paper than something, because he's already doing that. Like they're already
Yeah,
connecting all.
totally. It was just like an official statement that they made.
Yeah.
And I read today that Sir John Boyega would come back if Filoni and Kennedy were in charge of the project. So
Yeah.
there's hope for the future of this franchise.
Yeah. There's. Oh yeah. I mean, we're seeing it now. Even if this is, you know, a boring out. So what? Not all of them are going to be winners. You know, big deal. Except it is frustrating when an audience has to wait up an entire week for the next one because, well, this generation, I sound like an old man, has kind of become spoiled with like instant gratification. Oh, this episode's boring. I'll go to the next one. I'll click on the next one. So, like a Jedi, it's good to learn some patience. With that said, there are some things in the animation style of the show that I actually appreciate. I appreciate that, although there are improvements, significant ones since the original Clone Wars show, and they're keeping that look. They add little incremental improvements with the textures that you put on the characters, especially the lighting in the scenes is far more um, specific and dynamic, and you know, there's more. Like it's like I'm looking at an upgraded video game. It's like a remastered version of a video game, but it's good. I think that they're going with that style. They're not just calling attention to how much better the animation is, because they can go fucking wild with it and make it look
Yeah.
beautiful. But they kind of make it intentionally look a little shitty, just so then there's a consistency in their animated world, which I like. It's a bit like what they did with Toy Story. I'm sorry to say, I'm sorry, I'm fumbling over my words. The Toy Story sequels, where each film the animation looked a little better, but still you could go back to that movie from '98 and it would kind of naturally match those later films.
Mm-hmm.
Or 98? I'm sorry, 95 was it, right? Yeah, 95 it came out.
Yeah, 95 cents, right?
Yeah, I still have a Woody toy from there that now my nephew has, and you can see
Do
him
you really?
pressing it
The
down.
bur Was it the Burger King one by any
Yeah!
chance?
How do you
Was it
know
seriously?
that?
Because that toy, I worked at Burger King when that came out. I was living in Arizona. I cut the hand off of one of those, the right hand, and I use it as a keychain, and I still have that keychain to this day.
Holy shit!
Since 1995, it's Woody's right hand.
So you're a regular Sid.
I'm a nerd.
Yeah. No, man, that is
I've been
amazing.
I've been around. It's crazy.
There's so much sentimental value
I,
I have to that toy. There's an
does he have a right
article.
hand? Do I have your right hand? Dude, that would be crazy.
No, but my pet rabbit at the time, she would grab Woody by the right hand, and you remember how that toy had like those really hollow boots and they'd clink?
Yeah,
Like she would just hop around with it, and you just hear him clinking against the tile of my parents' basement.
that's crazy.
Not basement, kitchen floor,
Yeah,
and
dude, 95 to now. That's a long, long time, and I've had that keychain since then.
yeah,
Like, it's been on my keychain since. It's crazy I haven't lost my keys, or when I have, I've gotten them back. But yeah, holy
wow.
smokes. To say that shit out loud is, yeah,
So you
I have
worked there
Woody's right
when they
hand.
actually had the toys like in the stock?
Yeah, at the Burger King. I was going to Motorcycle Mechanics Institute at the time.
Mm. And was there a lot of demand for those toys?
As far as I remember, yeah, there was.
Yeah, it
But
was so hard. It took me so long to find the RC car and Buzz.
oh, I forgot about the car.
Yeah, because you put him and Buzz and RC together. But like
And
now,
there's collectors out there who are like, he cut the hand off of that thing. What is he nuts? It's like, dude, I was in 1996. I was fucking 20 years old, dude. I didn't know anything.
oh yeah. I mean, yeah.
I was an idiot. What do you want?
Here's the thing with me. Ever since Toy Story came out, I stopped abusing toys. I like felt guilty. And I'm like, what have I done? Well, oh my god. And now I'm like really delicate with my toys, and I'm like weird, and I'll be like, hey, you alright? I'm like, wait a minute, it doesn't have a conscience. What the fuck, Pixar?
Yes, they do.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like, it's amazing. But yeah, that toy from Burger King, I've given it to my 3-year-old nephew, although he was like 2 at the time, and he plays with it, and it's a bit like Andy handing the toys to Bonnie and playing with them.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. So, you know, there's a whole article I wrote about it, and there's also a video I have. I know we're not talking about Toy Story, but you know, who cares? You know, this is all about reminiscing and stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
Isabel, do
right.
you have any Star
It's a
Wars
weird ass
toys?
coincidence, dude.
Yeah, do you have any Star Wars
Me?
toys
Yeah,
to keep?
I have a few.
And what do you
Well,
have?
I have a board game that I made that involves the 5 bounty hunters and Boba Fett, so I have all those guys. I have Greedo. I have, and I have a, I think that's it, actually. I think I've gotten rid of everything else.
Oh, well, that's good that you did that. So, I have like a poster from episode 1, and it's where like Jake Lloyd is in the foreground, and then there's on the wall behind him is a shadow of Darth Vader.
Oh yeah, I like that picture.
Yeah, that's I have one of those, and whoa, that was
I always love that image.
yeah. Um, I have that, and then I have these old cups from Burger King when Return of the Jedi first came out. And it has like Jabba's palace, the Emperor's throne room. Um, it's the same sort of lineup
Oh
they
yeah.
had with Indiana Jones, because they obviously had a deal with 20th Century Fox. And it was
Mhm.
like with the second one, Temple of Doom, and they had like a bunch of graphics on there. But I don't know. I wonder if they're gonna come out with Bad Batch toys.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
Yeah, dude, that'd
You
be
know,
great. That'd be amazing.
that's absolutely going to happen if it hasn't already.
Well,
Yeah, there's what was I going to say? I'm going to send you the map to the Star Wars game that I made, and
oh,
at some point, if like any people can ever hang out with people again, I'd love to play it with you.
oh, it's
It's a
a
lot of fun.
board game.
You're Yeah, it's a board game. You take the part of one of the other five bounty hunters that's not Boba Fett,
Yeah.
and you are basically chasing him around after he has Han Solo from Carbonite, and you're trying to
Oh,
steal Han Solo from him, so that you're the one that delivers Han Solo to Jabba.
get the money, get
Like,
the credit.
it, yeah, yeah, it's fun. It's a fun little game.
Yeah. Oh my God. You know what? That sounds like a fun idea. I don't know. I'm
It's
thinking, what
fun.
could they do with the Bad Batch? That would make some great merchandise. Like, clearly you could sell little Omega toys to girls and boys. You could sell,
Not much time left. We have to
I want
secure
to
the
see, like, if
area.
there's, like, a whole, like, do you know Hot Toys? Or anything like that? They make, like, these lifelike figures from movies. And I want to see if they can make, like, and they also do cartoons and stuff like that. I would love to see, like, some Hot Toys of each
Mhm.
Bad Batch character.
Well, I mean, they'd have to get a little bit more popular.
Yeah. Again, yeah, I'm not sure. Right
You know,
now it's not
thinking
popular.
about it,
Say
I
they
don't think
can't
there's
support this
any.
attack for much
There's
longer.
not any for
We need to
Rebels
secure
or
this sector right away.
like Clone Wars specifically. Obviously, there is for Mandalorian because that's a different story. It's
Because
live
it's live
action.
action. People see the cartoons. Why do you think people are there's such a stigmatization when it's like a cartoon and people don't see it?
Just people think cartoons are for kids, and that's what the like this Star Wars version of animation is like showing us over and over. It's like it's not.
Yeah.
People keep saying it, like people get murdered. You know, this season or the next season, somewhere in
Attack stage complete.
this story of the Bad Batch, we're gonna see how and why Saw Gerrera loses his mind. That's not gonna be fucking pleasant. So it's like it's gonna be like there's some horrendous stuff happening. So that's why I'm not too mad about this like fluff episode that we had, considering like the episode prior was a lot of action and a lot of murder, and you know there's been some dark stuff here already, but
I kind
like,
of
yeah,
forgot.
we are going to see some dark stuff in the animation side of Star Wars, and
So here's the thing with me and kids shows. I'm okay with anything being a kid show and I can watch it as an adult because there are kids shows that also speak to adults or have great messages to them or are just overall good pieces of media.
yeah.
So
This isn't anything too unseemly.
I'm fine with a good story, even if it's just made for kids. And I think in between that, everyone just thinks, oh, there's no
Well,
story
what
in
have we
between. And it's
here?
true. You have to kind of go through the weeds a
Why
bit
do
to
I get
find
the
the good
feeling you're going
episode.
to the death of me?
But then when I point out, like for example, I use him as an example a lot because he's really kind of like an average, everyday Joe. Although he's far more than that to me. But my brother-in-law is a Star Wars fan, but he doesn't watch cartoons. He's like, oh, I don't want to see that shit. But he loves Darth Maul. Like, he has a Darth Maul figure,
Very confident,
you know,
aren't
from
you?
the Han Solo movie. He's like, oh, this is from the Han Solo movie. Although he, like, doesn't even like that movie or has really seen it, I think. But I said to him, well, you know, if you want to find out what happens to Darth Maul, the story's so cool. It happens
I
in
don't
Clone
think
Wars.
so.
And I tell him the
Yeah,
whole story.
no kidding.
I tell him the whole story, and he's like, I don't care. Like, unless they do it live action, which I'll admit, doing it live action makes it feel more legitimate, more canonized, because Star Wars is known for its revolutionary special effects.
Far be it from me
Yeah.
to
And
step between you and the endless
I
rain
think
of
far
plasma
more than the
fire that
sequels.
follows
The
you
sequels
around
did
this place.
really, what did they do to revolutionize visual effects at all? Nothing. You know,
Carrie Fisher's Mary Poppins. I don't know.
yeah,
They did nothing really.
yeah, but
They show you what not to do.
hmm 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 I mean, I think it looked great. The visual effects, I have no problem with them. You know, in the sequel trilogy, I think they actually looked fantastic. But they didn't build upon that foundation. And an animated show, you're not going to care. You want to see those visual effects because The Mandalorian even did something revolutionary where a lot of the show was not shot on a green screen. It was rear projection, like they
Mm.
did with classic cinema, but it was fully three-dimensional. It could be used in the frame while you're filming it, and it was like living inside it. It was not like it was. You were living inside of that Star Wars movie on set. A
Yeah,
lot
such
of
a
those environments were right in front of you. Now, granted, something like a Mudhorn, you would, have to entirely do digitally.
yeah, and those episodes look gorgeous.
Yeah.
And one of the final episodes when they do have like an actual outside location shot when they're at Typhus or
Yeah.
What is it, Typhon? The temple, whatever.
Yeah,
Where
it's the
Grogu
same
makes his
one
phone call.
in.
Like that's like a real place outside, like a real location in the world, and you're like, you can't even tell the difference from the rest of the show.
Yeah. Now with
Like that's how good the rest of the show is.
that episode
Just
in
looks.
particular looked a little cheap because like Typhon just looked like like the back alley of someone's like house in Beverly Hills, But like I get your point though. They use real locations and they mix it with they mix practical with
Blasted.
visual. But the
The
Yeah, it's
nice
like
thing
it's
is
seamless.
the
We'll have to fall back and
Mandalorian
rethink our
is now
strategy for
putting
how
it
to
on
get the
set where
train
the
flowing
actors
again.
just aren't in front of the green screen. They're doing more. And for as much as we knocked the prequels for their visual effects, they did still the green screen, that amount of CGI used in a movie was never done before. Like when Phantom Menace came out, people forget that is that
Hmm.
nobody had an entirely CGI made film. So, I mean, does it age well? No. But the technology was revolutionary in terms of the amount of the extent they used it. Because, I mean, when you saw 1,000 battle droids fighting 1,000 Gungans on screen, that was something completely unheard of before.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, of course it didn't, but what was the problem in the end though with those visual effects? We don't remember that movie for the visual effects, and why is that? Because they don't service a better story. And something
Yeah.
that the Bad Batch does that I really like is that everything that it does is in favor of a better story. Even a forgettable episode like this, they're not just cramming information
Mhm.
down our throat. They're slowly building a story and having some fun in between.
Yeah,
And
and they're reminding new Star Wars fan and old Star Wars fans alike that
hmm
who is around at this time when the Bad Batch exists.
yeah,
Like people are like, what? Like they're kind of in between the Clone Wars and the Stormtroopers. Like it's a really weird time,
yeah,
So it's like, okay, Jabba the Hutt exists. Bib Fortuna exists.
yeah,
It's like Fennec Shand exists, which we didn't know until Mandalorian, and now there's that crossover. So they
hmm
are doing like the world building and the crossover with the rest of the Star Wars world is pretty fantastic, while
yeah,
also having a standalone, original story and original characters that they are slowly building, and maybe we're going to see some cool stuff out of them.
yeah.
I'm still leaning towards, Omega is one, a Palpatine clone, and two, she grows up to be Phasma. If any of that is true, both of our minds are going to explode. You're
Our
like, what
minds
the
will
hell?
explode, and then other people who don't know about
The
Star
Separatists want to
Wars,
take Kashyyyk. We'll have
coming
to
in
look East
fresh,
Trust
they'll
by
look at
fighting
something
just
and
as
go,
hard as them to defend their
"Oh,
planet.
she's like
Let's
that
do
guy,
it,
but
brothers.
how did that? Oh, I want to see the show now. That sounds
Yeah.
interesting." just how people were. That's like how someone like me was brought into Clone Wars. At first I'm like, I don't want to see that silly cartoon shit, and people are like, yeah, dark stuff happens. Like, I don't care, it's off screen, whatever. But then I see how they build the characters. You know, you find out that Anakin Skywalker actually was this noble Jedi who, despite his arrogance, provided results. And you understand, they build a person around George Lucas's shit writing. And they build, I loved how Obi-Wan Kenobi actually had someone he was in love with. And you see him get challenged. You see, like, how does Obi-Wan not snap when Darth Maul kills his former love right in front of him, egging him on to just go fucking nuts on him, and he doesn't. And that proves who Obi-Wan is. Now that we have a live-action Obi-Wan show, I want to see how they build on that. I want to see how they build on that stuff in the Clone Wars. I want to see how Obi-Wan. I really want to see an Obi-Wan challenge. I want to see an Obi-Wan who now is having a little bit of trouble with his emotions, but not too much where, as an audience, we're going, oh god, he's having, like, full-on... What's that show that won all the Emmys with Claire Danes, where she's, like, in the FBI, but she, like, cries constantly? But, like, yeah, not like her. He wouldn't be like her in that show.
No way. I have no idea.
But...
My So-Called Life? Claire Danes, what?
Yeah, Claire Danes. She was in the Romeo and Juliet film with DiCaprio way back, right?
Yeah, I don't know the show you're talking about, sorry.
Yeah. Someone will know what I'm talking about. It's also with Manny Pachinkin. But yeah, but the thing is, these cartoons bring us into a larger world. Through how they tie it together is great, but you know, those are just broad strokes about the show in general. Today, I mean, we could have talked about this thing honestly for 5 minutes, and then we would have been done. You know, but you know, it could have been like boring, not much happened. You know, they're just filling in time. So yeah, having said that, I mean, this episode's that hey, you know, if you're bored and want to kill a few minutes, you know, yeah, go ahead, you know, sip a drink and check it out. Otherwise, meh. Yes, we'll see. Next week, I'm sure next week will be amazing.
I'm thinking they're gonna hit the gas pedal here really soon.
Well,
you know, like we mentioned before, like they've been through 2 animated series already. They know what works and what doesn't work and what's going to turn people away from the show. So I really think they're going to kick it up a couple notches this next episode or 2.
Well, I don't know if it'll be. I think maybe after this one, because Filoni is a slow burn kind of guy. Although he's not writing the show because he's writing the live action stuff because he, over the years, has worked his way up the ladder to doing more and more, and
Yeah, I mean, now he can just do whatever he wants, which is awesome.
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants.
Let him focus on the good stuff. Oh boy.
Did you die?
No, that did that thing where it just like spawns a dude right behind me.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Stupid ass robot.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. Well, but again, as Saul says, or who was it? The bad guy, Gustavo Fring says, "Don't be sorry, be better. Be better with the next episode." Oh, I'm sorry you found that kind of bored. Be better. You want filler? Give me good filler.
Just be a little better. Yeah, totally. Give us good filler.
Yeah. Like here's an example of, and you know, here's an example of good filler. And here, this is the worst kind, but man, I think it was like within the second to the last season of the Clone Wars, there were 4 episodes about an insecure little frog eye hanging out with a bunch of droids who had to basically come to terms with this insecurity, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
just has like a lot of like little silly meltdowns during the episodes. But it was about a guy accepting who he is and everyone knowing who they are, and that was cute and nice. I mean, I didn't want it to come to that, but it was nice that there was a little message attached here. And there's a little message attached to this one, like you can't judge everything as mean. The rain car is actually kind of nice. But that was what? 2 minutes of story coverage outside of
Yeah.
we're the bad guys, we captured you.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do now? Ah, ha, ha, ha.
And Wrecker's head itches. That's a second and a half. Like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. The next episode, they really need to focus on something.
Yeah,
Just something.
Just something.
Just
Anything.
focus on something.
Don't capture our heroes. Okay,
Uh,
don't try to save someone. Don't do somebody a favor. If someone says, I need a favor to be done one more time, I might walk in the other room or hit the fast forward button. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
having Omega saves the 4 Bad Batch characters time and time again is going to get old real fast. So
Yeah,
let's
it's
not.
like, we get it. Omega's strong. Why?
Cool. Yeah, and speaking of which, like we do know she has all of the enhancements that the other Bad Batch characters have,
Yeah.
plus some more. So yeah, like we need to see what those are.
Mm-hmm.
Like enough with the cutesy story building stuff that we're us as old curmudgeons are complaining about. Let's kick it up a few notches here, people. Let's get to Operation Cinder by the end of this series, or by the end of this season,
Maybe.
and have it just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Or, I mean, maybe not see Operation Cinder, but have the plans for it coming. Because that is some brutal stuff, dude. They just
Okay.
melt planets full of people, and that's coming
What is
in
Operation Cinder?
in the timeline. Basically, it's like the Death Star Part 1. They just set fire to a bunch of planets that don't want to cooperate to send a message. Like literally, like set fire to a dozen. I don't know how many it is. A handful, a dozen planets.
It's like the Empire.
They don't want to join the Empire. It's the Empire Part 1, basically. It's their first really big movement. Where they're just like, no, we are the universe, and if you want to be a part of it, you will bend your knee, or you will die.
So it's
Go ahead.
kind of like they're doing test runs with the Death Star. They're
Kinda.
seeing what works, what doesn't work, how to improve this, how to improve that, and in the process of that, if I were to guess with Operation Cinder, they're gonna say, hey, we have this Death Star. It's way cheaper. We can just destroy planets.
Yeah.
Why use these clones? Just fuck stormtroopers. So just get a bunch of crazy right-wingers who agree with us, and then we can just build an army from those dumbasses, and we'll have more lasers that are more powerful.
Yeah.
Because our pride comes before the fall.
Like, oh, they're willing participants to join our. We don't have to grow them anymore. Cool. Let them join. Idiots.
Oh man.
We'll take advantage of our own soldiers.
God.
They knew exactly what they were doing, and still we've only seen like a fraction of Palpatine's plan. Like, if he's got some shit going on, we've only seen a little bit of it through 9 movies, 3 series, and cartoons. We don't know anything about what he's doing,
Why?
but we
is
will.
it- Yeah. Why is it that we feel so much more when the events of, let's say, Order 66 happens in the Clone Wars than we see, like, all of the chaos in Episode 3? Why is it so much more effective in that finale than it is in Episode 3?
I think like the prequels in general don't really build, like don't do any character building at all, really. They're just like, okay, here's some Star Wars cool stuff that happens, and
Yeah.
Anakin kind of grows up a little bit and he falls in love a little bit, but the Clone Wars, the animated series, really fleshes out that character and really makes him, the person that you like feel so bad for everything that happens to him,
Yeah.
and you kind of like feel for Darth Vader. It's like,
Yeah.
and that's just something that like nowhere in any of the movies was that done. It's like, yeah, they fleshed out Luke pretty well, but that's it. You know, one character they fleshed out amongst the hundreds that they threw at us. And the
Writing, ladies and
I know.
gentlemen.
And the whole cartoon and the whole 9 series, it's mostly about Anakin and Palpatine. You know, even like the stuff that their kids go through, it's because of them. I mean, we don't find that out obviously for a while, but it's like those two characters are the lead characters of the whole saga.
Now, there's a Star Wars cartoon that we've been rejecting to mention right now, and I think everyone has because I haven't seen it, and maybe it's because we don't like the sequels, but what about Star Wars Resistance? Have you seen any of it?
I haven't seen any of it, no.
Yeah, me neither. Sequel
I
trilogy
don't even know
sucks.
where it's
We'll give it
available.
a chance once everybody likes it again and Filoni fixes it.
I mean, I'm always about watching something Star Wars if it's available.
Yeah, so that might be the next one to check out. We'll see how this Resistance thing pans out. But if they infiltrate a First Order base, I'm turning it off. Which I'm pretty sure is going to happen. Alright. Well, John, thanks so much again for coming on. And, you know, this is one of the things I have to say to the audience and to John. This is one of the things I look forward to every week. When I'm done with the day job, which I mostly do enjoy my day job, I like coming here, playing a game, and talking about the Bad Batch, and I always want to kind of capture that feeling of just hanging around with some pals and just shooting this shit and just talking about things we enjoy. So thanks again for doing this, man. I always look forward to doing this.
Anytime. Talking shit about Star Wars and playing dumbass games, I'm all about. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like,
you
how
for
can you
having me
not
on the
look
show.
forward to doing that? You know?
Yeah.
Man. Can we, let's have another quarantine lockdown. So no. I'm just kidding. All right, John. I'm gonna enough of the mushy shit. Thanks again for coming on. Blah 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 blah. You can check out John's stuff. Where can we find the links to your stuff?
Oh man, I got Vimeo. We got the first 48 hours of our TV shows available on Vimeo right now. Cinema Obscura. Michael throw a link on the website or whatever he's got going on. If you like music, there's also a Cinema Obscura playlist on Spotify. All of the music videos that we have are represented. We have a huge playlist with a bunch of independent stuff. So we're all over the place.
Nice. And again, if you want to check out all of our stuff, subscribe to You'll Probably Agree, or as you might also know it, is YPA Reviews on YouTube. And let us know if you probably agree with our opinion, as that's the whole point of it. Do you agree with us? Maybe you don't agree. And if not, let us know in a nice way. Remember to go to ypareviews.com for all of this material and more. A lot of this material that I still have to upload on the website itself because I've been busy. I've been really busy. All right,
You need
folks.
a gonk. You need a gonk droid.
I do need a gonk droid. Yeah. One of the main characters.
Gonk.
Gonk.